It's been a crazy, crazy day today. It's been a crazy week. It's been a really crazy week with all the current news events that are going on. You know, it's actually been a heartbreaking week, really. Um, between Governor Como and Nancy Pelosi and her stunts, and I just, it's what type of world are we living in now? I'm sorry. It's when I saw Governor Como and that room, how they rejoiced and applauded and cheered and celebrated for the destruction of our unborn kids. I couldn't even talk about it. Because if I talked about it, then I would have to accept that that's our reality. That's the country we belong to. It's the country that we live in, where the unborn have no voice, where the unborn have no say. As a medical profession, we take an oath, and life doesn't begin as soon as you come out this magical birthing canal or the magical vagina. Life starts at conception. When that life form, it has its own DNA, it has its own systems. It has a woman, when she's born and she's a normal human being that's atomically correct, she's going to have 10 fingers, she's going to have 10 toes. But when a woman's pregnant, they say, oh, it's just a mass of cells. No, there's 10 toes and 10 fingers in there. They're tiny and they're innocent and they feel pain. A medical profession, we take an oath to protect that. As for me to call death, there has to be no heartbeat, no breath. But even in first term abortions, there's a heartbeat. It has its own blood. Anybody who wants to claim women have the right to choose. A woman has a right to choose before she gets in bed. A woman has a right to choose to use birth control. Hi, Melvin. How are you? Yeah. A woman has the right to choose before she decides to murder. That child that she kills has no rights. She's taken every single them away. And people are like, oh, what about murder? Do you know what an abortion does to a woman on top of being raped? I'm sorry. What about if a woman is raped? You're just adding more trauma to the woman. The child's innocent. I'm not understanding how these people can cheer. I cannot understand how a governor can. I mean, it's bad at the beginning, even at the first trimester, but all the way up until birth. This child, so they're saying once the child is born, if it's a bad abortion and the child is still alive, which happens, there's actually doctors. There is one particular doctor who is in jail right now because he was very, say careless, but really, what does it matter if it's in or out of the womb? Murder's murder. So once the child was out of the womb because he didn't perform the abortion right, he would just kill the child out of the womb. So he was murdered. So that's the thing I'm not understanding. How are they able to come with a concept of when a child is a viable person? Because they're like, oh, mothers, single moms, it's such a burden. We have Kamala Harris who proudly boasted that she was she had her abortion, and thank God she had the right to choose because she wouldn't be where she was. She's weak. She's telling those little girls that were watching their dad being confirmed, you can't be a mom and you can't be successful. I don't mean to rant tonight. I don't want to rant tonight, but what has happened to our country where we're doing this? What is happening to our country where that this is okay? And it's not only is it okay, but now it's celebrated. To get an abortion is a couple $100, and we're being forced to pay for it. Not only are we forced to being paid for these abortions, but Planned Parenthood, which was originally designed and made to exterminate Black people or weed out the undesirables, we're now having to pay them with our taxpayer dollars so they can go out and pay for campaigns for people that we don't even want in office, like Governor Cuomo, Nancy Pelosi, the Clintons. I can go on. And for the stars out there who are trying to use their status or their hey, Nacho, can you hear me? Hey, Carol. For the it just I sorry, I got distracted. It just for the stars out there who are just trying to use their clout to say women's health, do not mistake. Abortion has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with women's health. In fact, when a woman gets an abortion, the chance of infection, the chances of reproduction problems drastically incline. It has nothing to do with women's health. Now they're saying, no, if a woman is mostly distraught, if a woman is that's okay. We can go ahead and kill the unborn child. But yet these abortions only cost a couple $100, $300, $400. But why is it that people who want to adopt have to pay thousands and thousands, $30,000, $40,000 to adopt? This is just so ludicrous. There's people who want these children. There's people who would love these children and give them a beautiful, amazing life, but they can't because they can't afford it. They can't afford the $30,000, $40,000 up front. You guys, it's not just a matter of principle. It's not just a matter of a moral issue. It's a bigger scope. It's a bigger thing that's going on here that you have to look at. It's at global scales. We have Nancy Pelosi playing games with the American people. Today's Senate, they were trying just to pass, even though government's at a shutdown, let's go ahead and pay our Coast Guards, the people who protect our borders, the people who protect our coast, the people who protect our water, who sacrifice and serve. It was the Democrats and some of the Republicans who went out there and no, let's not, because we have an issue. We have a political stance. We want to ruin Trump. And we don't care that people are dying. We don't care people are serving our gun. We don't care about the drug trafficking. We don't care about the human trafficking. We don't care about anything about that. And they probably do. They probably want it because it runs so deep, and it's all connected. What you get down, I mean, I like Fox News, but it's watered down. You're just getting surface stuff. You're just getting, and you have to follow up. I'm telling you what I know and what I can research, but I can't get it all. Even if I worked at this 40 hours a week, which I almost practically do, it's still not enough. There's so much corruption. And the thing about it is even people with good intentions, people with good, when they get to a point where they're in power, where they are, with power comes corruption, and with money comes greed. And so these people, when they're submersed in this evil, vile swamp, they get corrupted. It's just a slowly, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit at a time. If you don't have a strong standing with God, you're not going to make it. You have to surround yourself. But the thing about it is, we, the American people, have become so complacent because the system has made us that way. We have accepted it. The things that are destroying us are the things we have accepted. Those are the things that we participate in. You know, the indoctrination of schools. We need to stand up. We need to say, enough's enough. Trump's not our pastor. Trump's not our minister. He's done some nasty stuff in his early years, but what he's doing now counts. What he's doing now will count for decades if we're here that long. Because if you look what's going on in Venezuela, pay attention to other countries and what's going on. It's all happening simultaneously. We got Venezuela's, we got two parties that were clashing together, and they were clashing together, and they were distracted to see what was going on and who their president was and what he was doing. It was all systematic because you know what? If we're distracted, you got these idiots here on the troll people. And you know, if you're on here and you're trolling me, you're not taking anything away from me because I'm not going to let you troll. But the thing that you are taking away from is yourself. And you're taking away from this country because you're getting so petty and so silly that the destruction of this country is happening right now. And we are on we're skating on thin ice right now. When our country celebrates, when we have a part of our country, even though I am on the other side of the country, when I watch that celebration, that the room full of our representatives and people were cheering that we can kill babies up to the day they're born. That, I mean, just look how horrible the Holocaust was. But it's become so normalized. It's become so we've accepted because the government of the people, for the people, has now become government of the people, over the people. And we let it happen because we could become so distracted by what's new. Let's go shopping. You know, what's the newest this? You know, we become part of the problem. We're just as bad, almost as bad as the swamp, because when they get in there, they get tempted by all the, you know, I was in that governmental circle in my 20s when I was in real estate. I was starstruck. But it didn't take me that long to figure out it was a seedy place. I mean, even though I was running with the Republicans, it's seedy. You know, it was disgusting. When I mean, during that time I was married, and then when I became divorced, the expectations out of me was just like, are you serious right now? And this whole thing about freedom of speech and censorship, we're being censored politically on these applications, but then you have people who are so far on the other side that thinking that freedom of speech gives them the right to bully, harass, harangue, and intimidate and scare people that they just don't agree with it, even if they're on the same side. And we're becoming distracted with it. We're becoming distracted with this like silly, juvenile, petty playground stuff. You know, it just blows my mind what happened this week. And hi Bruce, hey Mo, hey Tanya. Yeah, this, you know, I used to, after I had my son, it was I was scared. You know, I grew up in a church. You know, women stayed home and you know, you had babies. Guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. That was the happiest time of my life when I was able to stay home with my son. If I could trade that for having a career. I love my job. I love my career. I love the path I chose. I get to help people. I get to, it's fascinating. It's challenging. But if I could be a stay-at-home mom and have more kids, I would have. I would have loved it. But that's the problem. We've destroyed our families. And this whole abortion thing is just, it's got to be painfully obvious to you. And if it isn't obvious, you wake up. They're demasculating man. You know what toxic masculinity is? It's the creep who signed that. It's the creep, Governor. I hate even saying his name. It just drives me crazy. That's toxic masculinity right there. Toxic masculinity isn't the man who protects his family, who instills morals in his family. It's not toxic masculinity isn't a teenage boy with a MAGA hat on who was standing for the rights of unborn children. That is not toxic masculinity. What toxic masculinity is grown men who are trying to intimidate somebody who they think is weaker than him because he was standing on a higher moral ground. They're trying to demasculate the men who will stand up and fight for what is right for this country. And if you can't see it, you need to pay attention. Because it is going on. It is so heartbreaking to see that they were cheering. They were cheering for that. Murder is okay. We are so digressing in our progressive ways, in the moral ways, in the debauchery and it's like, you got Cardi B and Kamala Harris are representing it. This is what we look up to now. You got some, she's got the right to shake her butt in front of our kids because it's cool. We idolize a stripper. And I'm not saying if you come from it doesn't matter where you come from. Your story is your story. And no matter where you come from, no matter where you've been, we all have different stories. We all have our screw-ups. We all have our accomplishments. We all have our, God loves every single one of us, even the unborn. That child that they're killing, God created that child. He knows every single hair, every single bit, every single cell of that child he made specific for that person. For instance, what about, a prostitute who can't take care of herself and she's got syphilis and this child is going to have a hard life. He'll probably be deaf. That would be a good case for abortion, right? Well, you just killed Mozart. Or what about the girl that was engaged and she was a virgin and she had she got pregnant and all the families were excited. It would have just called Jesus. There's moms out there who have given, like, it's my life or the child's life. And there's strong women. And you know what? They chose to give birth, even if it meant killing themselves or it meant them possibly dying. It's a miracle how some of those women live. We're giving power to people, corrupted people, to choose whether we get to live or die now. You've got to pay attention to what's going on around the world because it's a systematic thing that's going on. You got to pay what's going on in France right now. France is right behind Venezuela. Macron probably will keep power because it's not the people that he's after. It is the whole global system. It's the new world order that will hold his place. Because that's the morality but doesn't matter. We know it's going to happen. We know God told us this was going to happen. These were going to be the days. But that doesn't mean we have to idly sit by and not say something. Because if we let it let it slide by, we're just as guilty as the ones who are doing it. We are just as guilty as the one that has the sword in the hand. We have to be strong, and this whole fighting and this whole backbiting and going online and talking crap about people needs to stop. It's gotten out of hand and it's ridiculous because you're hurting good people. Because murder is going on, and murder is being it is being part of our government now. You know, they're in Europe countries, you know, a child can decide to die now, or they can put a child out of its misery now. They can euthanize a child if they don't think the child will be viable. You know, and autistic rates are going up. Do you think that that's not by design? Nobody's researching why this is happening. Nobody's researching for it. You don't hear anything about it. You hear cures for cancer, you hear cures for AIDS, but you don't hear any work or anything about autism. Why is that? There's groups, but where does that money go? Where's that research? It's hard to find peer-reviewed research that is well publicized just as much as AIDS or cancer is. Why is that? Is it Agenda 2020? Is it Agenda 2030? You guys, there is a system out there wants to eliminate the 1%, and our country is part of that 1%. The elites want us gone because, one, we're strong and we can fight them and overpower them, and two, we use all the resources. That's their whole justification of it. That's their whole way to manipulate the people in power, because they promise them that they will be preserved. Their family will be preserved. You know, we have to unite. We have to stand up for these kids. It's like almost if we were going back in time where they were sacrificing the children to gain power. You know, I just did a story not too long about the Arch of Ball. The Arch of Ball was in New York. It was in front of the Federal Reserve Building. Who owns the Federal Reserve Building? We don't own it. You think because it says federal on it that it's owned by the people? It's not. It's owned privately. And it's owned by the people who want us out. It's owned by the people who have control in our government. It's owned by the people who have control in foreign governments. It's people who have control in the UN. Tough times do not last. Tough people do. That's right, douchebag. That's right. And we're tough. But we need to see past this. We need to get together. You know, we need to stand strong. Anybody want to come in tonight and talk about this? Here, I don't know how to do this. But yeah, there are, and I believe Trump's one of them. Trump's one of them. I believe that there is military people. I think what has happened is that I think when Benghazi happened, it was a waking point. It was a waking point for the military. And maybe it probably even was going back all the way to 9/11. But the problem is you don't know who's who, because they're so devious and so sinister and so flippant. You know, they could seem so innocent and so pure and so charismatic that people are drawn to them. People are drawn to strong people who stand their ground or make them feel good, and who can do things and like other people can't. And so people use that gift for the wrong reasons, and they use it for sinister, devious, demonic systems. And I think once these, the Oklahoma bombing happened and 9/11 happened, and then Benghazi, that I think because majority of the military that go sacrifice for us, they do it with the best intentions. And it's a different type of brotherhood. I was never in the military, but I know enough that when you depend on somebody for your life, when there's chaotic moments that there are going on, you build a bond with those people, and you build the bonds with even the people you don't interact with, but you're on the same team with. And when Hillary Clinton, those guys in Benghazi get killed because she was trying to cover up for uranium one, there's your freaking Russia collusion right there. Your Russian. I think that was the last straw. I think that's when they reached out to Donald Trump. And maybe perhaps he even reached out to him earlier, because Donald Trump has always had an interest in our system. He's always had an interest in government and politics. But he just stayed out of it and built his businesses and all that kind of stuff. But the more we need to expose these, you need to get out on Twitter, get on, even though these social media things are jaded and you'll be shadow banned and all that kind of stuff. I have less than 9,000 followers on Twitter. I know only a handful of people see my stuff. I don't care, because you know what? My stuff gets retweeted, and so at least I know one person's reading it, and it's going to get circulated to other people. So if we're all doing it, they can't shadow ban all of us. And of course, there's going to be adversaries. We just stand strong, and you stand in love and say, listen, if you're going to fight with me and you're going to start lowering yourself out to name calling, just let them be. Go away. Because they're not interested. They're just interested in the fight. They're interested in sucking you into the distraction that they're trying to do right now. It's what's happened in Venezuela. It's happened in the Middle East. It's happened, in the European countries. They want us to fight. They want us pinned up against each other, because if we're fighting, then we're not paying attention to what's really going on. We're not paying attention to the real fight that we need to be fighting. Not this pettiness, not this stupid stuff that's going on, this silliness, this trolling crap. One of my watchers was watching the other day, and he was telling me that a friend of his that he's no longer a friend with is because Google hired 10,000 people just to be trolls. And I know this is a silly subject to talk with abortion, but that's the thing. We have to pay attention, because it's all systematic. It's all plugged into each other. We have to unite. We have to stop this silly bickering. We have to stop. We've let things destroy our families. We need good, strong men. Our men are being attacked right now. They're the number one. They're number one. Because men are the ones who are biologically, you cannot dispute this medically at all, whether you want to bring your Christian morals into it or not. If you want to take it all Christianity out of it, all religion out of it, if you want to talk about biological aspects of everything, a man is designed to be a protector. The man is designed to be the provider. The man is designed to be the stronger one. And we're attacking him. We're bringing him down. Yes, there's men who are pigs. There's men who are disgusting. But you know what? When you're constantly putting things in his face to tempt him, when you're constantly contributing to an entertainment industry that are trying to attack our men and try to find in their weakness, we can't expect anything else. Men who want to do good, you need to hang around men who will hold you accountable. Because that's where it comes down to. It's finding people who we can trust. It's finding people who we can find who keep us accountable. You know, we can love each other. We don't have to like each other, but there's a point where we need to stop trying to tear each other down so quick and build each other up. Because anytime you see somebody new, your criticism or you, we have to build each other up because that's how we're gonna. And I'm not talking about sugarcoat things. Yeah, you gotta be straightforward too. But you can be straightforward in love and still build somebody up, and that's the problem. Chrissy, unfortunately, conservatives are fighting a war on a few fronts. They're fighting against the ignorance of the left and against the 1% and fighting those in their own ranks. You're right. You're right. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But the thing about Venezuela, the people in Venezuela woke up. They've united. But the problem is we're going to have to intervene now. And if we intervene, Russia's saying, no, you intervene, you're going to intervene against us. And the thing about it is, um, you guys, and this is the thing, is that besides standing up for what is right, we also need to put the word out. If we interfere in Venezuela and Russia, we get in a war with Russia. Russia's in Syria, Syria and Iran. We now Venezuela is going to distract from what's going on in the Middle East. Iran gets out of control, attacks Israel. Israel attacks back in Syria. We're on the verge, you guys. We're on the verge. Read your Bible. Ezekiel, Daniel, Isaiah. We're not in the tribulation. We're in pre-trib. But it talks about when the tribulation starts and before the rapture. We have to let people know. If you're scared, give them information. There's lots of information. You know, I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm not. No, but I mean, if somebody wants, there's plenty of sources out there. Behold Israel. Amir Safadi, he's an amazing man. He was a colonel. He's a retired colonel with the IDF. His teachings are phenomenal. Jack Hibbs, Calvary Chapel in Chino Hills. They talk about the end times, and you've got JD Farag. He's an Egyptian former Muslim who is a pastor in Hawaii who has a middle end times update every week. You have Jan Merkel with Olive Tree. These people are amazing and they're phenomenal and to the scripture, and they're all great sources because they're all give different perspectives but yet they're all meeting in the same place, and following, Amir Safadi. I have a video with him, but the sound quality is horrible. But Amir, he's right there, and his kids. I think his daughter is actually in the IDF right now, and so the time's coming, y'all. We're getting close. And the other thing too, I'm not a prepper, but it doesn't hurt to at least you can go to Amazon and just at least have a couple months worth of food or something. I carry 3 months of food in my car just in case. You never know. You never know. We live in California. It's earthquakes. And, it's just, we're coming in a time where, we need to be ready. Be ready. We need to be ready Spiritually, we need to forgive, we need to move forward, we need to move on, you know? We've we it's just I'm just heartbroken, just so heartbroken and distraught when you see a baby in pieces. How can you sleep at night? So when they do an abortion, they rip the baby in pieces. I mean, depends on what. There's different ways. Second term abortion, they'll pull the child. They'll force induce the mother, and they'll pull the child out of the womb, and then they'll take um, like scissors to the back of the neck, to the base of the head, and basically kind of like suck its brains out, and the baby flails in pain. The baby feels it. First trimester, they poison the baby so the baby burns. Brain waves are detected during this time, and children can live outside the womb at 6 months. There's no reason for this, not especially when people want children. I get attacked all the time. Oh, how come you never? Yeah, I've tried adopting, but it's hard when you're single. In fact, I tried to adopt last year. It didn't work out, but um, doesn't mean that I wouldn't take one in, or work with them. I do what I can do as much as I can. If you we need to get out there. We need to be active. And you don't have to, even if it's just an hour a week, an hour a month, work with orphans, work with, kids in some capacity, work with moms who are struggling, single moms. There's a ton of resources out there trying to help. And that this is the thing too. We've become so we're asking about the government. How come the government's not helping the homeless? How come the government's not helping our veterans? And even being a conservative, and that should be an issue with the government. But shame on us though. What are we not doing? We as communities need to take care of one another. That's, and one of the things in all the travels, I've been in, I spent a lot of time in Eastern Europe. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I spent some time in India. And the one thing I always like just threw me off was the sense of community. My first experience overseas is doing a mission in Moldova. The house I stayed in had no bathroom, no kitchen. Nobody had a car, nobody had a stove, but all the neighbors knew exactly who they were, what was going on with them, and if they needed something, they took care of each other. How many live out here and know your neighbors or even like your neighbors? That's where it's come to. We hide behind our computer screens, we hide behind our phones, and we're not interacting with people anymore. You know, we all go to the same place. We all go. Everything's the same everywhere we go in America. Nothing's different because it's just gotten out of control. Josh, the thing about abortion, they do feel it, and it doesn't. They do feel it, and it's not. Yeah, I mean, part of me is like gives them a sense. Thanks, thanks, Nacho. Part of me that does gives me a sense is that these children don't have to suffer through this world and stuff like that. But it's still that's not our right. It's not our right to do that. It's not our right to because we're also taken away from this world. You know, you know, there's it, there's amazing people that have been not given a chance to make this world better because of abortion. We're giving power to Satan. We're giving, um, you know, it's a demonic enterprise, and the whole premise about abortion was about exterminating the Black community. Margaret Sanger, she eugenist, that was her thing, and she worked with the Ku Klux Klan. She collaborated. She was a Hitler. Her I don't think she ever went to Germany, but she admired Hitler, And then we had, the other problem is Ginsburg. Ginsburg. Do you know really that Justice Ginsburg? She wrote an article, or she wrote a piece saying that children should be able to decide whether they have sex or not. It's and that prison should be co-ed. She's totally This whole attack against men has been for a long time, and we've just been blind to it. But now's the time just to. Oh, are you? And so it's just become uh it's just it's a sad day when we're cheering, and these children, they do feel pain. I seen before, they rip the body apart, and then when the abortionist takes that child out, they have to count the pieces. And here's the other crazy part too, that these women now, they're saying, oh, a doctor doesn't have to do it. It can be a clinician, it can be a nurse practitioner, it can be a midwife. These people are not trained enough to give life saving services if a woman was to start bleeding, if there was a tear or anything like that. And it's not only putting the child, obviously the child's at risk, but it's putting the mother at risk too. Now, I don't hate women who've had abortions. I feel bad for them, actually. I have a heart forgiveness. So does God. God forgives them. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they chose that way. I don't know. And it's not for me to judge. It's for me is to love them. And you know what? There's going to be consequences for them, because there's enough hate in this world. We don't need to add to it. We don't need to add to the hate. You know, this whole thing is just, it's making me sad, but I'm not going to let it hold me down. I'm not going to let the anger get to me, because that's the problem, is we get these things that are so infuriating. But you know what? Revenge is mine, says the Lord, and it's going to happen. These people are going to have a price to pay. We talk about the globalists, and if they're going to be arrested or not. I hope they are, and it looks like things are, but maybe they won't. It's a possibility they won't be arrested, but they will have a price to pay. So instead of trying to focus my hate um, on them, I'm going to put my love on the people around me, and my love in what God wants me to do, and to reach out and to love, and to try to get a message to people, to help them wake up, to make them see what's going on, because we can't continue to be complacent like this. Not with an attack on our families. The day of the rope is near. Yeah, it is. It really is. Our time's getting close. So you're missing the point. You can never live among people who want to destroy your concept of justice. You know what? You're right. That's what it comes down to. We're so divided. We're so this whole system, it's demonic. It's Satan is the author of confusion. And that's what's going on in our country. There's the confusion of, this gender fluidity. What is that? So you're saying that God makes a person, but that person decides whether they can be or not be? No, we've got Chris or Kate Hudson um, talking about how she's going to raise her child gender neutral. You've got Celine Dion making a whole line of clothing for babies that is gender neutral. I have a makeup subscription that I get, and I got makeup for men in it. Or it wasn't, excuse me, it wasn't makeup for men, but it was make fluid makeup. I was cancel my subscription. Sorry. I don't want to see men wearing lipstick. Ain't for me. Yeah. I mean, we're not supposed to hate them, Carol. We're supposed to, we love them, but we don't have to participate in them, because the thing is, it's that's the problem that's going on. You don't agree with me, so I'm going to hate you. You're wrong. You're this, you're that. No, we need to stop that. We need to live by example. We need to live by love. We can't force our ideology down somebody's throat. We can't convince anybody. That's what God tells us to do. Here, this is a gift for you. You get to take it or not. But I offered it to you. That's all we have to do. Because even though that you might not be the one to convince somebody, it could be a seed. And you may not be the first one, you may not be the last one to give them that information, or for them to hear a message. You hear something, like, share it, do whatever you can to get it out, because people just need to hear. They might not get it the first time, they might not get it second time, but by the 10th, 100th time, it might resonate in something. And but when their time comes, God's going to say, I told you. I told you. Because there's so much proof out there in the world. There's so much. I mean, just look at the Bible. It was written 2,600 years ago. 2,600 years ago, we're looking at prophecies that were written, and they're coming true today. It's so specific. Specific countries, what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. It's coming true. Out of all the places in the world, we're talking about a place as big as New Jersey. And we're talking, and chaos for 20 acres is going to start a world war. A 20-acre lot of land. That's the size of Disneyland. Do I believe things are worse than death? Yeah. I mean, like, I worked as a hospice nurse for a few years, and when somebody's dying, you know where they're going, especially being so intimate with death, and being on, being with somebody, you can definitely tell where they're going. I've had people who are not good people, and the agony they go through is so horrendous. It's so, like, it's mind blowing. It's scary. It's sad at the same time. There was one particular man that I was with, and so at this time I was working, I would only go in, I was a crisis care nurse. So when the patient would go into crisis, I would go in there. So, we would control pain and teach the family, how to do things that they needed to do for the patient, and so on. But if they were declining, we would stay with the patient, and so that way, obviously the family's going to grieve and stuff like that. So we would stay with the patient until they, expired, crossed over. And so this one particular patient, like, we can never tell you, like, oh, the patient is only going to last a day or so, because we seriously don't know, because it's everybody's so different, and things are always variable. But we can usually tell if it's going to be within a day. There are certain things that a patient will go through, like stop urinating, they stuff. So this particular patient of mine, he stopped eating, he stopped. So there was like no way this man could last even a week. And so, um, I did. He was under continuous bedside care with a nurse, and about a week, like, and it wasn't in my normal area. It was just like scheduling stuff. So about a month later, I get an assignment to go back to this patient, and I was like, this address looks familiar. So I looked back and I called my boss. I'm like, did you get it right? I was like, no. And so I went back to that patient. He was still alive. And the things he was describing, and it's not the first time I've heard those things. This was just one of the examples. And it was, people see the same things. They see little red demons running around them. They describe them as little red demons. And that's the exact words they're saying. So yeah, there's definitely a place, worse than death for sure. Um, I I think that there's a judgment period, and when things are done, I think their suffering will end, but they won't get to enjoy um, heaven. So I think they will have suffering, and then it'll end, and they'll just like cease to exist. And then there will be some people who will have an eternity to pay for. And that will be probably the likes of like Governor Como or Hillary Clinton, or these people who know it's it's like the women who have an abortion because they were told things and they were just, that's forgivable. But people who know what they're doing, they know the consequences and still choose to do it, that's different. That's so different. But on the same note, being with somebody who's dying, who's going to a good place, they always see somebody who's already passed already, and they come, and it's just, to me, it's almost, it's, death is beautiful. um when they see somebody who they love, and they trust, and they are happy, they're the look on their face, they're dying, they're emaciated, they haven't eaten in a week or a month or whatever, and the look on their face is so peaceful, and then when they go, it's just nice and fluid, and um and I feel like it's an honor to be there, you know um God's waiting room, I guess, literally. But yeah, it's a job where you cry a little bit, it's okay. I know you're listening, Michelle. I think one of my nurses is out there listening. I know of a wealthy and popular farmer that didn't have a DNR. He's been in the nursing home for the past 15 years. He had a stroke. Yeah. Yeah. Nursing homes are not, would not wish that on anybody. Nursing homes are well, especially out here, there's laws. They don't follow. It's impossible to follow the laws and make money. And so it's a, uh, home board and cares are really good because they're only allowed to have five. You just have to be really careful where you're at. But because we would have patients in nursing homes, we'd have patients in board and cares, we had patients in private homes, we had patients everywhere. So it was good for me to see like the different types of facilities out there, and how they take care of patients. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. What happened to the children taking care of their parents? That's that's another, like, um, you don't see that here. You see that in other countries, and that's something I wish we had more of here. Um, there's definitely a lack of taking. I've had like patients who have had their kids come in. I had this and they're like, "Okay, mom, I love you. Bye. See you tomorrow." I'm like, "You realize she's in a lot of pain and she's probably very scared and she probably won't be back here tomorrow." "Oh, it's fine." And they're just they don't care. They don't care. And it's just and then you talk to the staff and they're like, "Yeah, they hardly show up." And it's just to me when those people passed, I wasn't sad for them. I was kind of happy for them. They didn't have to suffer anymore or be alone. It's all about money. They make money off of your corpse as long as they can. Who would you want continuously exit for eternity? Death as a gift, God to me. Well, yeah. I mean, our life here. This is our this is where we get to learn what you know. You ever been really really hungry? You've been working hard and you didn't get a chance to eat, and you get really really hungry, and then you eat something and it tastes so freaking good because you're just so hungry. I think that's what God gives us. This is our chance. This is a beautiful world. There's beautiful things here, but it's so immersed in evilness, and they're so immersed in this emptiness that's without him. And it is hard. I don't want to be here. I don't. I can't wait till it's my time. But I'm thankful why I'm here because I know there's lessons to be learned. I know that there is a job for me to do. And I appreciate that God has given me that gift, that he sees that in me. But I forgot the point. Oh, so he has us coming. For one, it's for us to learn. So if we're without God here, then we will know what heaven is really like. It's like children, when we have babies and kids, and we give them everything they ever wanted, and then they go out in the real world, and then they realize things aren't going to be handed to them on a silver platter. They're for a rude awakening. Well, it's kind of the opposite. It's like kids where you make them work and you make them earn, they appreciate the things. It's just, he's doing that. We are his children. We're in a learning phase. Our time here is nothing but like a drop in the ocean. It's a speck of sand on the beach. It's a vapor in the air compared to eternity and what's waiting for us. So our time here is quick. It's painful, but it's quick. We all of the pain and all of the agony, he promised he's going to wipe that away. It's going to be gone. And then I don't remember where the scripture's at, but I know it's in there. But it talks about when we meet him, the words that are used portray him as like dancing, like, oh my gosh, like he's just so full of joy. It's like when you see, I don't know if you have kids, Josh, or not, but it's as a mom, like I'd be without my little boy. Even now, he's grown. He's 21, and I still, I just get so much joy to see him, and we have our dinner once a week or whatever. I look forward to that. That's my baby, and that's the way he feels about us. That's the way he it goes about us. I know that there's a group out there who think, oh, the Israelis are bad, the Jewish people are bad because they disobeyed God and because of this and that, and the Jews are the globalists. We need to get that straight. First of all, you're to say that is to say all Americans are Democrat, or to say that is all Americans are Republican, to say that all Americans believe in abortion. That is the farthest thing from the truth. There are globalists and there are Zionists. Zionists are like nationalists to Israel. They believe in a Judea principle that they have rejected Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, but God has used them as those are his chosen people. And the reason why they're his chosen people, he is using them as an illustration. These people have disobeyed me. They have perverted religion. They have worshiped Satan. They have done this, but they're still my chosen people. We are all his chosen people because he made us all. But he's using them as an example. This is what they've done. I've given him chance and chance and chance and chance again. He's giving us a chance every single time. But the thing about the Zionists, they will have another chance when the tribulation starts. The globalists, they won't have a chance. The Soros, the Rothschilds, all those people who are putting us in the system, who are trying to enslave us, they won't get a chance. That's two different people, two different, they're so separate from each other. So you did Adam and Eve go to heaven for eating the forbidden fruit? Well, no, they didn't go to heaven. They were cursed for eating the forbidden fruit, but they still went to heaven, yes. This earth is the only heaven that is the only heaven the evil will know. Yeah, it's true. It's very true, Nacho. To the point. It's all about money. They make money off of course as long as yeah. Yeah. So I mean that's just, we need to come together and we need to band together and love each other and stop this silliness. Oh my gosh, this troll thing has gotten out of hand. It's gotten so stinking out of hand. Stop it. Really. Uh, so, anyways, you guys, I just wanted to get this message out and let you guys know I love you. Stand strong. Take care. And I will probably see you maybe tomorrow. All right. Have a good night, y'all.